Hey guys, what's up? I'm Erin and welcome back to the channel. What if I told you that most families are completely unprepared for the cost of long-term care? And if the need hits, most are completely shocked. Here's the scary part. Not only is long-term care more expensive than most people realize, but the chances of actually needing it, they're a lot higher than you might think. And to make it worse, a lot of people assume Medicare will cover it. But the truth is, most of the burden ends up falling on you and your family. So let's break it down. The real cost of care, your odds of actually needing it, and who actually ends up footing the bill so you can create a plan with eyes wide open. First, let's talk about how much long-term care actually costs. According to the latest data, a private room in a nursing home now averages over $115,000 a year. Assisted living, that runs about $60,000 annually. And memory care, which is a specialized care for dementia or Alzheimer's, can easily cost $75,000 to $90,000 per year, depending on where you live. And that's really just a base price. If you live in a high cost of living state like New York, California, Massachusetts, it's not uncommon to see nursing home facilities cost $150,000 a year or more. And it's not just about geography. There's a lot of add-on expenses that people don't expect, like medication management, personal care needs, or transportation, even basic add-ons like laundry services or haircuts. And all of these can add several $100s or several $1,000s to the baseline price. Let me give you a quick example. Let's say your mom moves into an assisted living facility with a base cost of $5,000 per month. Maybe that sounds manageable, but if she needs help managing her medications, that could be an extra $500 a month. If she needs transportation to doctor's appointments, that could be another $200 a month. And then say her needs increase, so she starts paying for extra hands-on care. Well, now we're looking at something closer to $6,500 a month. So what looked like it was going to be $60,000 a year actually ends up being closer to $80,000 a year. And the bottom line is this happens a lot. We have a starting sticker price, and then once you have all these add-ons, the bill ends up being much larger than expected. Now let's shift gears and talk about the odds that you or someone you love will actually need this kind of care. You might be thinking, okay, but is this really going to happen to me? Well, according to the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, about 70% of people turning 65 today will need some form of long-term care during their lifetime. That could mean home care, it could be assisted living, it could be a full nursing care facility. But 7 out of 10 people are likely to need something. And about 1 in 5 will need care for 5 years or longer. And that's certainly not to say that 70% of people will end up in a nursing care facility. Some people just need part-time help around the home. Others need help with simple daily tasks and go to an assisted living facility. Others have more severe memory issues and dementia, and they need a memory care facility. On average, people stay just under 2 years in assisted living. In a nursing home, the average stay is around 13 months. But remember, these are just averages. Some people end up staying just a few months, other people stay years. So what causes someone to need this kind of support? Well, common issues are memory issues, dementia, or care needed after a fall or a stroke, or simply living alone. Maybe their spouse passes away, maybe their kids live far away, and they're not able to keep up with the regular physical demands of daily life. Let me give you a real-world example. Imagine a woman named Mary. She's 78, living alone, and takes a fall that results in a hip fracture. She starts with home health care after surgery. But within a year, her needs increase. She transitions to assisted living, and about a year later, early stage dementia develops, leading to her moving into a memory care unit. It's rarely just one event. It's usually a progression, and honestly, this strikes a chord for me because this is how it progressed for my grandma. Once my grandpa passed away, she needed in-home care. Once the daily needs became too much, she went to an assisted living facility, and after that, she needed full memory care. And even right now, today, my dad is in a long-term memory care facility, and he was one of the most driven, energetic, and fit people I had ever met. He was the kind of person you never would have assumed would have been in this situation. But through a series of unfortunate events, it happened quite suddenly, and now he's been there for about a year and a half, and as it happens with memory issues, he's only continuing to decline. Seeing how quickly this all can unfold really drives home for me how unpredictable these kind of situations can be and how important it is to have these conversations and have a plan in place long before you ever think you're going to need it. So now we get to the big question. Who actually pays for all of this? Most people assume Medicare will step in to cover it, but that's actually one of the biggest myths of all. Medicare will not cover long-term custodial care. The only time Medicare helps is if you've been hospitalized and need short-term rehab in a skilled nursing facility. And even then, coverage is limited to up to 100 days. Once you need help with bathing or dressing or long-term supervision, Medicare is out of the picture. So how do families pay? The most common starting point is private pay, where you use personal savings, retirement accounts, maybe have to sell a home, rely on family support, but this really adds up fast. Then there's Medicaid, which does cover long-term care, but only for people who meet strict income and asset limits. And you usually have to spend down your assets to qualify. Medicaid typically covers nursing homes, but not assisted living unless your state offers a waiver program. Our veterans can qualify through VA programs, which can be a real blessing, but there are strict rules and not everyone qualifies. And finally, there's long-term care insurance. If you bought it early, great. It can absolutely help to cover home care, assisted living, or nursing home costs. But here's the reality. Fewer than 10% of Americans have long-term care insurance. The policies aren't widely sold anymore, and even when they are, they come with a lot of restrictions and they're becoming very expensive. So for most people, it really becomes a pay-as-you-go system, which can become very expensive. And if you run into the situation where you run out of money, well, at that point, Medicaid eligibility kicks in. Here's the bottom line. Long-term care is expensive. It's needed more often than people think, and most families are not financially ready for it. The earlier you plan, the more options you have. A really great idea is to set money aside specifically for this bucket. But again, that is easier to do when you have a really long time horizon before getting to the point where you need to draw on this bucket. Also, it's a great idea if you think that this could be in your future, meet with an elder law attorney and a financial planner to help you weigh what your options are. If you wait until a crisis hits, at that point, your options are really limited and your emotions are high. And so that's not really a good mix for making good decisions. Have these conversations ahead of time, plan in the long term so you can set small amounts aside should this ever happen to you or someone you care about so you can create as many options as possible. What are your thoughts when it comes to paying for long-term care? Do you think it's something that may be down the road for someone you love, or have you had experience with this? Leave your thoughts in a comment down below. I post new videos every single week. If you got anything at all out of this one, please give it a like. If you're new here, please consider subscribing. Or if you know of someone who might get something out of this type of content, please consider sharing. I'll see you soon. Bye. Need help with daily tasks. VA programs, which can are build up this bucket. Much higher than the... I didn't like that at all. Okay. I'm dying here. This is a lot. Whew. I'll do one more. Okay.